Good morning. You're welcome to another edition of Now Streaming, reaching you from the Advent Cable Network Nigeria Television. Join us on the show as we cry, celebrate, and laugh together. As always, my name is Mojisola, and today I have Hassan John with me.
It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Interesting shirt. So let's get into a few of the trending headlines this morning. The first I'd like to start with is the multi-million naira bridge that collapsed a week after construction in Kogi State.
Yeah. It's a pathetic story of where to place this, because you know the thing is, the ministry, especially if it is a government ministry, they usually would have their own department or unit that ought to be checking on the quality of this kind of work. They would follow from construction, and at least from time to time, I know in some other organizations they do give an independent body, you know, the contract, so to say, to be sure that everything that is used in any contract follows the specifications. Now, why this happened, how it happened, just simply shows, like many other stories we've seen of collapsed buildings, you know, either in Lagos or, you know, all over the place, that we are seeing constructions collapsing. But added to this is also the problem of our roads, because this is also another problem. You contract a road, you tie it, and 6 months down the line, the potholes are worse than when the road started.
I think again it boils down to just, I don't know, shoddy work.
Yep.
Cutting corners, trying to make a profit, squeeze a profit from where none exists.
But let's be honest here. You see, the thing is, we've heard from contractors again and again that each time they are given a contract, they have to give, I don't know what word they used. It used to be a kickback. Now it is a certain percentage. Now it is a diesel. So every other person's cut is in that contract.
Yes.
You know, so the contracts are overinflated. The work, the contractor also sublets other parts of the contract. So for instance, for this road, for instance, you would see that the person perhaps that did the culvert and the person that supplied the cement, you don't even know what quality of cement. You don't know the rods, whether they still, they've not expired in terms of their strength and durability, whether, you know, so a lot of things come into this kind of issues. And at the end of the day, a work was checked, because again, like with roads, I know that there is certain inches, of the thickness of the tar. For a bridge, I don't know. I'm not a civil engineer, so I'm not an engineer, so I wouldn't really know what the needs are. But when you look at the picture of that, you know, that collapsed bridge, you look at even how thin it is. I assure you, you don't need an expert to tell you that a big truck like this will not pass. And you know, the interesting thing is not even a wide bridge.
Should also be like what I call regulations. Should trucks like this be on this kind of bridge?
Well, the issue is with the Nigerian roads, I will say, do they have any other alternative roads? Because you see, the problem we have, part of the problems we have in this country is the issue of road networking. Now, so you have only one road leading from one town to the other, even within the city center. You find that there is only one road, because the others have not been developed. So that one road suffers all sorts of abuse from all sorts of vehicles. You know, so because a truck like this have.
Absolutely.
You know, so these are, you know, the challenges that we have, and we pray that in this incident, we will learn from our lessons. I don't know if we ever learn from our lessons, but let's hope that we will learn from our lessons, you know, and follow standards. The people that are in charge, those that should report at the end of the day, must certify. Now, this is an interesting development that I've seen in other countries, that in most of our products you see the logo UL.
What is UL?
I'll get back to that in a minute. But it's a company in the US that each time you're doing a product, a work, it is said that it has met a certified level standard And that is why in Nigeria we also have the standards.
Yes, the
organization of Nigeria.
SON,
yes,
SON
so that
logo.
they certify these things. But whether they are used or not, I don't know. Whether they are only for products in the markets, or
I should
like the soaps and the detergents and the things we buy in the market, or they go. We have a lot of things to sort out in this country.
We do. We have a really long way to go, but we won't lose hope.
No, not at all. I mean, we are praying that we will have leaders that understand what it means to put structures, independent structures, independent of government. Let me give you a quick story, if I'm not taking your time. So this time around, I was in London when there was this news that came on television about a pothole that was on the road. So it was actually the worker that was supposed to be filling those potholes that sued the local council chairman for the pothole, because his fear was he would lose his job if a car gets damaged on that pothole.
Okay.
So he was suing the local government chairman for not releasing the funds to make sure that that pothole was fixed at that moment in time that it ought to have been fixed. And it became a big news headline. And I looked at them and said, in Nigeria,
potholes, one, can you count the potholes between your house at the junction?
Yeah.
Let's not go into that.
I mean, we are fortunate to be in Abuja, but if you're elsewhere, other city centers,
there are places in Abuja that it takes a lot of faith to enter.
But go to other states, it's pathetic.
It is. It is truly pathetic. So we keep hoping. We keep hoping and believing. Let's talk about the COVID-19 restrictions again. There's still a lot of chatter about it. What did they really say? And the common man on the road. I mean, a cleaner saw me yesterday and said,
in the last day or so, there has been a lot of confusion, especially with a lot of my friends who, because even the first time I saw the restrictions, or rather the paper that was sent on the social media, I double-checked to be sure that it wasn't an old one. Just to see that there was a May 2021. So I sent it to a few friends. I said, please, could you double-check? And they said, no, it looks genuine. So we said, fine. But, again, there was a video that followed this, which also settled my suspicion that it wasn't. What is going to happen? But whatever it is, I think there is the issue that the government is getting a little uneasy with all the stories of the different strains that are coming. And we are hearing that there's a Nigerian strain.
So I hear.
That Nigerian strain will really be Nigeria's strain of COVID-19.
But I think the question for me is, how then do we pass the message across to people? Because a cleaner bumped into me yesterday and said, oh ma, that means we'll not be seeing in a while. And I said, why? And she said, oh, didn't you hear there is lockdown? And I had to take a few minutes to explain to her that no, it's not lockdown as it happened last year. It's just, and she said, but that's how we've been living all this while now. I
think the problem we have with government now, I'll speak like a communicator now, as I did as a journalist. You see, the problem you have with government information machinery is that fire brigade approach to information dissemination. Secondly, also is that apart from the fact that you have the Ministry of Information, you have the government official media outlets. You still don't have effective, detailed information dissemination channel. And when you are dealing with people, one of the things that is frustrating is that they're saying the government said it on news. Also, who listens to news all the time? If you have the government media, there must be a detailed, produced, public information that is clear in its explanation, if necessary, in different languages.
So
now,
that the person on the street
and you have staff
can
at
know
your
that.
disposal
Well, you know,
to do
they
that.
actually did the campaigns in different languages in Pidgin, which I found really fascinating.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if they're bringing up new information,
Yeah.
or if they're saying, okay, we're going this way and we're not going full lockdown, but we need to take these precautions, I think it should be disseminated.
What does it take now? The agency has set up, this is what is going to happen in May.
Yeah,
you had your plan. So at the time of planning, you send the information to different media organizations and say, please, this is what we need to get to the point. We're talking about 200 million Nigerians or more.
A large percentage
in different languages.
So are not even literate.
You don't take things for granted, because this impacts on the economy. It impacts in virtually everything you do.
I won't be surprised if there are a number of people that didn't go to work today because they felt government said there's lockdown. I mean, if I hadn't bumped into that cleaner yesterday, she'd probably be in her house this morning saying there's lockdown.
I don't know. I know the thing is, when there's so much on the social media also.
Yeah.
So you see, this is where when you don't give clear, detailed information, then people give their interpretation, and then you get frustrated and say they are spreading fake news. They are not spreading fake news. They are saying
the way they understand it.
That's just it.
True.
So I think we have to be guided on this issue. And even now, if you ask me, what exactly is...
I can repeat what I read.
Help me out. Clearly define what it
they're
was meant.
saying that there will be curfew from 12 midnight till 4 a.m.
Okay.
Interstate travel is still allowed.
Okay.
The social distancing measures, wear your face mask, you wash your hands and all that, is still in place. And the 50% attendance of gatherings, public gatherings, is still in place. So basically, they're just reiterating.
By the way, let me quickly say that there is 6 meters between us, just to be sure. Don't mind your TV screens, just to be sure, so that they don't think
that
they were that close. No, just to clarify, since we can't wear face masks in the studio, so.
Yeah, so that's all the headlines we will take this morning. Towards the end of this month, we will be celebrating the child. May 27th, there's a lot of excitement in my house because of that. We talk about their rights. Today, we want to talk about child abuse, and we would like to look at the angle of the house help. The question remains, what is the heart of God in all this? Yeah. Joining us today, all the way from Lagos, is Bumi Okeshola. She's a child activist, and she's kindly agreed to join us this morning. Stay tuned as we go on a short break, after which we will be discussing child abuse from the house help perspective.
When one is horrible, it means that there is nothing that is objectively good and progressive that will come out of such individual.
If you have been convicted of an offense before and you have been pardoned, and anybody is trying to bring that up again, calling you a convict, you have the power to sue that person for defamation.
Justice must not only be done, but it must be seen by all to have been manifestly done.
It has an obligation.
That a plea of ultra-false acquit or convict is very different from the plea of pardon.
Trespass is that act that interferes with the peaceful,
no matter how minute this, right?
No matter how minute.
He who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
You're welcome back, and in case you are just joining us, this is now streaming on ACNN TV. Please join the conversation through our phone lines and our various social media platforms now showing on your screen. Welcome, Bumi Okeshola. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Moji.
Bumi is a child activist and she's joining us all the way from Lagos as we talk. Hello, good morning, Bumi.
Hi, good morning, Moji. Good morning.
How's the weather today in Lagos?
Okay, it's cool, a bit sunny, but cool.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Quickly, can you help us define child abuse?
Okay, so as we know it already, child abuse is a global problem. It's an abuse against a child, and it doesn't just cover abuse, it also has to do with neglect. So it involves any physical, emotional, done to child. And but of using in such a way that it's emotional abuse, in that you are using words to demean the child, or you're making the child feel worthless, as if the does not matter. And it also covers sexual abuse, a situation involving a child in whether the child gives consent or the child doesn't give consent is immaterial in this case. Well, I think it's good for me to define who a child is to the Act 2003, a child that is under the age of 18. So child abuse covers physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect of a child. And this is really
Okay.
is in a position of responsibility to that child.
Thank you, Bumi. Help, because we're looking at child abuse from the angle of the house help, or maids, or caretakers, and as we call them. So who are they?
Okay, sorry, Mojo, can you come again with that? I think I lost you a bit.
Okay, yeah, I said who are house helps, and who are they? Who are they in our society in Nigeria? Who are house helps? What category of people can we call house helps? Bumi, can you hear me?
The network is not helping me here.
Oh,
sorry.
so sorry about that.
Yes, but please, you would have to come again. Sorry, it's breaking
Yeah,
up.
I was asking about house helps. Who are they? And
okay,
I mean, what is their position in our society today?
okay. So house help, as we have come to know it in Nigeria, or come to term it in Nigeria, is somebody you bring into your house that you. And well, the way we see it, the way we've come to define house help is somebody that comes to do work in your house, that has to do all the house chores. But I see it a bit differently, that a house help is somebody that comes to help you do your work, and and also should gain a mutual benefit from working with you. There has to be some mutual benefit in working together. But that's not the way we see it in Nigeria. In a lot of cases, you just see a child, usually, and that is really wrong, but a child is brought into a family and the child is made to do all the chores in the house, whether it's appropriate or not. And in most situations, you find out that that child is not even being supported in any way. The child doesn't go to school. The child is not being developed in any way. You don't make the child learn any skill. And that's, to a large extent, I think majority of what we call house help in Nigeria is usually situations of child abuse.
Wow. Wow. I was going to ask that a lot of what we see Can you just
Yes,
share,
because one thing.
When we're having this conversation earlier, you told me you've met a lot of them and they have stories to tell. Can you
Exactly.
just share
In fact,
one
that
or
was
two with
what I
us,
was going
please?
to. Okay, so I had the privilege of, I was actually in Abuja before I relocated to Lagos. So I had the privilege of working in secondary schools, public secondary schools to be precise. And you will be shocked that nothing less than 70% of the children you have in those public schools are helps coming from different locations. As in, you'll be amazed how far those children come to get to school. And then you hear a lot of stories from them. Like, okay, so we conducted a couple of programs for the children, a couple of sensitization where we're sensitizing them about issues of sexual abuse, how to protect themselves, what they need to know. And you will hear these girls share different cases of not just of sexual violence, you will hear of emotional violence, and you will hear of so many cases of them missing schools because we get to interact with the counselors in these schools. And sometimes when you talk with the counselors, you just hear things like, see, if it's the case of that girl, just leave it. She's a help in her auntie's house. And so many times we've even summoned the auntie or uncle to come because of a situation, and they don't show up. So you see, it's really so disheartening because you see these children, they want to learn, they come all the way from different states just because their parents want them to get education. And this primary reason of bringing them at the end of the day is not fulfilled because yes, you say you are sending them to school, they are going to the list of the public schools, that's one, and you don't even let them have time for their education. Some of them, you speak to them and they are failing so badly, and you are asking them, is it that you are not reading? But they will tell you there is no time to read. Why? Because I sleep late, I wake up very early to do all the chores in the house, I have to do all my work in the house before I leave the house, else my auntie will. It's really a very pathetic situation. And then when you start talking with them, they don't want to go. They don't want to leave the house because they see it as, if I live here, I don't get to get the education I want. And sometimes you even find situations of the parents not even wanting them to come back home because probably they have too many children they are catering for. And this one is just an added burden. So it's like, just stay where you are and manage. In fact, it will shock you. There was a very pathetic situation of a girl who came to live with her auntie. And she was being sexually abused by the husband of that auntie. And we got in touch with the parents of this girl. And the mom said, please, I beg, make una just leave her where she did. If she comes back, what would I do with her? As in, I have 5 of them already here. So, and I'm struggling to take care of them. So if you bring her back, what is she coming back to do? I don't have anything to give to her. Please, just allow her to manage. It will pass. By the time she's done with her education and goes to the university. So it's really a very sorry case. And I think we really need a mind shift. We need a serious mind shift where you are seeing the girl that is coming into your house or the boy that is coming into your house as a helper. Because the truth is, if that child is not there, there's so much more you won't be able to do. But we need to begin to see a place of adding value to these children and not just leaving them.
So there's something I want you to quickly elaborate on. Just, you mentioned it, but I've never heard the term before. You mentioned emotional violence. What's emotional violence?
Hello? Sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, okay, sorry. I said, can you please explain what emotional violence is? I've never heard the term before.
Oh, okay. So sometimes emotional violence is also used as and it has more to do with when you withdraw emotions from a child, when you starve a child of, yes, when you starve a child of what you should give to the child in terms of emotional support. So you are withdrawing affirmation from the child, you are demeaning the child with your words, you're not giving the child close contact. There's nothing like hugging, there's nothing like patting, there is no physical contact. So you withdraw every form of emotion that the child needs to be able to develop very well. Emotional abuse is, and it's so experience this not just outside the home, but even home. It's so sad that parents, even parents, talking to their children in a way, and then sometimes I know parents don't even know the effect of what they're doing because they just feel hungry, the child did something bad, and I really need to scold the child. But in what tone are you scolding? How added you? So it's just a way the child feel what like it's a it's in the way you say things, address issues. It's in correct the way you speak to the child.
Thank you, Bumi.
I don't know. I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. The network seems to be a bit sketchy. The next question I'd like to ask is, okay, so you hear women say things like, if you treat them well, they don't behave well. They don't stay if you treat them well. I've heard it several times. They will say things like, if you treat them properly, they will leave. It's the ones you maltreat that stay. What do you have to say about this, Bumi?
You were referring to the issue again, right? If I heard you.
Yeah, I was saying how that a lot of people say if you treat them well, they don't stay. If you allow them go to school, they don't stay.
Yes, I have a lot to say on that. The truth is, yes, the truth is, we have a duty of care to children, whether they are your children or they are not your children. In fact, if we bring it down to Christianity, God expects that we show love to one another, right? Whether it's your child, it didn't say love your child alone. It says love your neighbor as yourself. So if you see that child as an outsider, even if the child is an outsider, you still have a duty of love to that child. Now we get it wrong when you say if you treat them right, they will go. If you treat them, yes, I've heard people say that a lot of times. In fact, some people, that is just their mindset, and that is how they treat the children. That they bring in a child into the house, the child don't get to sleep on the bed, the child is sleeping on the mat.
Yes.
The child works from dusk till dawn. The child might not even get two meals a day. And even when the child gets to eat, the child doesn't eat as their own plate. The child has their own cup, so they don't get to. They are going out. The child looks very different and looks like the scarecrow of the house. And you know, it's so sad because over the years. Because if you see that child as your child, you won't treat the child less. You won't treat the child less. The child is a human being. That child was created by God. And I believe that how you treat your child determines how the child will treat your own child. In fact, it's so sad, especially when I see parents that take in children that also have children. So you want the child, yet you don't want to take care of the child. You speak to the child in demeaning ways, and yet you don't want that child to speak to your children in a different way. But the child is learning it from you, because that's communicating that to that child. And if we look at the big picture, that you are raising a broken, most people tend to abuse other people. That's how it works. Can you hear me?
Yes.
A child that is abused to a large extent will end up abusing other people and other children. And yes, you can link it up and say that most parents, some parents who do that, were actually experienced abuse as children, and that is what they know. That's why I said we really in this, that people begin to see these health as their own children. So you have the opportunity to bring in a child into your house. It's a responsibility you are getting. to nurture that child, to help the child, to contribute into the life of the child, such that when that child goes out there, the child can pay it forward to other people, knowing that I receive care from this person. I don't know if you get me.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. And one thing we miss is that you are doing this to that child in front of your own children. So your children are also talking in a way that makes that child feel worthless to that child. Your children are also learning it. They are going to do it to others. They are going to grow up doing it to other children. When they grow up and they have helps, that's the same way they are going to treat their own help.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether you do your part and then the child leaves. People is you would have contributed your quota to humanity by raising a healthy child that will go out there and also relate with other people.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Hassan, any question for me? Mrs. Bumi, you've been rather quiet.
It's when I was listening to Bumi, and it's difficult not to get emotional, especially in the way that things are going now, and particularly we forget that the result of, the people we see today behaving the way they behave, either in government or out of government, all you need to do is do a quick check back to their background, and you see where they are coming. We can blame society for so many things, but we forget that we created the society the way it is. Wow. But anyway, you were talking about vulnerability earlier on, and I was going to ask if Bumi, if you're still there. I know there are different levels of vulnerability, or rather, let me get your thought about these house helps in terms of their vulnerability, either where they're coming from or where they find themselves, and whether it is a perpetuation, whether for this kind of children it just spells doom for their life. In other words, they are coming back from a background that they were vulnerable or they were disadvantaged. Now they're coming to a house where they hope that something good will happen, but they still are disadvantaged. I don't know what your thought is on this, Bumi.
Wow, my network is really bad. I really cannot hear.
I'm so sorry about that. No, I was just simply saying.
Hello.
I was just doing a little house helps, and just simply saying that it would seem, therefore, that from where they are coming from, they were vulnerable, or they are vulnerable, and therefore disadvantaged. And now they come to a home where you expect things will be better, but they're still not better off. I just want to get your thought on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if...
Bumi.
Yeah.
I know the network can be difficult sometimes.
So I think we've lost Bumi.
Yeah.
Bumi, are you still with us? Okay, we've lost Bumi, but thank you so much for taking time out to be with us today. This has been eye-opening, heart-wrenching. Many times we don't see these children as human beings. And I would have loved Bumi to answer this, but she's had the of, how can we help?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question, because the thing is, let me give two quick examples.
Okay.
So Benjamin Kwashi, the Bishop of Jos, when you go to his house,
that's the Anglican
Bishop of Jos, right? You go to his house and he has a lot of house helps, but also has a lot of other children that are coming from the society. Now the incredible thing is you cannot differentiate his children from those that came from other families. Yes.
Wow.
They eat in the same bowl. They live together. In fact, even the time that these children started coming in and people were saying, you don't know who they are. They may be HIV positive. These ones, they may be in secret society. They may be cultists. They may be everything. He says, and his mindset is simply this: as long as they are in this house, the house where the Lord is, it is our duty to remove everything and then, you know, just clean them up, you know, build them into responsible people in the society. And I love that. And every person that comes into your house as an opportunity to grow them as responsible human beings for the society. But the second quick example is this, and this is on the spiritual level now.
Okay.
I have a pastor friend who brought in a house help to help his child, three children really in the house.
Okay.
And he had a preaching engagement in another city, you know, over the weekend.
Okay.
So he leaves on a Friday, and Saturday morning he brought a lady into the house. Then Saturday morning he calls the children to find out how they are doing. And later in the afternoon he called again. Then by that afternoon, then his littlest son, who was about 8 years old, now said, Daddy, you're a pastor, right? And then, of course you know I'm a pastor. He says, when you come back, we want you to baptize the house help.
Okay.
And the husband, he was surprised.
Okay.
You know, he didn't know anything what this was about. So he came back Sunday, and yours truly, these three children, this house help that came, that had little or no idea about what Jesus Christ is all about, right? They sat this lady down, made her give her life to Christ. The father comes back on Sunday evening. I mean, it's amazing.
A revival has happened in
his own home. So he sits down and he baptizes her in his in the bathtub, in the bathroom. And this lady, every time she left that weekend, but she would call every week and say, how is Benjamin doing? How are the people doing? You know, this. And it's an amazing story to say that every person that comes into your home, you know, it's a responsibility.
It is. It is. And we should, like you said, see these children as human beings too.
Yes.
And really, we should be the ones influencing the world and not the other way around.
You know, it's more painful when this is happening even in church and among
especially
Christians.
In church.
Christians.
It's
house
sad.
helps are not slaves.
They
are not the wretched. They are not the wretched of the earth.
No.
You know, they just happen to have found themselves in that situation. It could have been anybody.
True.
You know.
True.
Even much more now that we've had so many orphans from all the country. You know, the issue is we have hundreds of thousands of orphans. If you don't treat them well and if you don't train them properly, tomorrow your children and your grandchildren will not sleep.
Will be in trouble.
They will not sleep.
Yes.
But we forget this kind of things, you know.
I think I would say thank you to Bumi again and say this: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We will be going on a short break right now. Watch this video, relax and learn something, and we'll see you all when we return.
My name is Queen Diefenbacher. I'm from Sacramento. So every year our pastor, Bill Krause, he goes to the Southwest Believers Convention, and he's always encouraged us to go with him or whatever. And I kept wavering if I was going to go to Southwest or not, and then again it was truly God how everything lined up, from my tickets being on sale to with splitting it, and again I was I wasn't totally lost, but I was wavering in my walk with God and truly trying to decide if that's what I was going, you know, if he was going to be the Lord of my life or not. But with going into the Southwest Believers Convention, it was just so, like, I don't know, it was very like, wow, oh my God, this is big, this is huge. You know, if you've never been, then you would never know. But coming home and explaining to people how it is, the people are also friendly, everyone feels like they know everyone, everyone wants to communicate and talk, and even with going on our breaks and meeting people that were in the convention with you and talking and bouncing off ideas, it was just, I don't know, it was like an awe moment, like, wow, like there's more Christians out there and this is amazing, and it was very welcoming and very fulfilling. I think my relationship with God is a lot stronger than it ever has been, even the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks I've served at my church more than I ever have. I feel fulfilled and I feel happy, and I can't remember the last time I can honestly say I've I've been happy without having something in return from that. And then just serving God and just really obeying Him and listening to Him and being a giver and just giving of myself. Oh my God, there's no word to explain it. It's just like a refreshing feeling about it, and I'm excited to see the things that God has started moving in my heart and the direction that I feel like He's drawing me towards. Pressed into God, and He's real. He loves you. He's there. He sees no fault in us. I know we are our biggest critics in life, and we judge ourselves more than He would ever judge us. But He's there to catch us, and He loves us no matter what. And He's there to be our best friend, really. And if we lean on Him, He'll guide us through life, and it'll be the best life ever.
Wow, she said best life ever.
Yes.
Hassan, please.
Yes. After that depressing talk about house help, this is just so uplifting. It's this thing about the church, about the community. Two things she said that just made me just smile. Is that you come to a place and the people, it's like everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
Everybody's welcoming. everybody. So, and that's what church should be all the time.
Do we usually have that? Do we want to talk about that this morning?
Can we talk about it some other time?
But then,
because there are some welcomes I got in some churches that are not welcoming at all. But some other time. Some other time.
Okay. But then a quick one. Yeah. There's somewhere in Proverbs that talks about if you want to have friends, be a friend.
That's right.
If one of my older friends always says, if you see that there's a problem, then you be the solution to that problem.
Exactly.
So if they're not welcoming, smile and say hello. If they don't answer, okay. So a funny but true story. I had this neighbor that would not respond to greetings, and so I was newly married. I went back to my husband and I said, "Is it that I personally offended this person, or is it something about me?" And he said, "I don't mind him. If he greets himself, he won't answer." And I was jobless and bored, so I took him up as my project. And every morning I would stand at my door. When I hear him unlocking his door, I would stand at my door and I'll say, "Good morning, I'm greeting you, good morning." I did it. By the second day, from inside his house, he says, "Madam, good morning." So the day my husband happened to be home in the morning and he heard the exchange, he was like, "Wait till you give him trouble." I said, "Nothing. I just made him my project." And sometimes we give up too soon.
Yes,
on people. And then she said something. She said, "Many times we are our own worst critics."
That's right.
But then in the light of God's truth, we realize that He loves us regardless of where we're at, regardless of what we've done. Yeah. Regardless of the situation around us.
That's right.
So you can be broke and be smiling.
Yeah.
Because God's got me. God's got me.
And somebody said life is too short to live it feeling bad and just no matter what the circumstances, just always look up to God, have faith and believe that the next hour, the next day will be better.
Will be a lot better.
It's one of those beautiful things. I love these stories. They're just so lifting. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Bumi, I would like to say a big thank you again for joining us from Lagos, taking out of your morning to talk with us. Hassan, thank you again.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Our viewers, thank you so much for letting us into your space for 1 hour this morning. Hope to see you all same time tomorrow. Spread the word. Come back, call in, text in, send your WhatsApp messages. We would love to hear from you. Have a laugh with us as you enjoy a beautiful day today. Enjoy the video.
What is news? How you doing now? What did happen? You know go school. This one that you are parading like a soldier.
It's because of coronavirus. They say we should not resume school now.
That is good, sir. There's something I want you to do for me. See, holy news, my boy. See, all these days, I don't know what is doing me. I don't know what it is. I want you to help me to wash all my clothes, all my plates, help me to clean the...
Oga do not plate, clothes, sweep, every... Oga do not,
I go pay you or not be free. See, I go hammer you money.
You mean say not be free, Oga do not...
I go hammer you 2.5.
2.5?
2.5.
Oga do not money, go clothes or plate or everything, I go do.
Hey, come. Man, go.
Oga do not.
Oh, stay, wait for me, I dey come. My bag, come. You go wash and wash. Wash and wash, my boy. See, these are the clothes. These are the clothes here. Have you seen it? These are clothes. See this one? I used it for work last week. Wash and clean her. See, especially these pants. My girlfriend used it last week. Scrub and wear. Wash and clean everything. Make it clean. Very, very clean.
God do not even one pint. You mean say
now 2.5 and they come and bring the plate. My boy, I also you don't finish everything. Everything. Don't dey sharp. Yeah, my boy, I will take you to United States. I will make you something that you will not believe. See, come show me the place, man. Come back.
You see that your girlfriend? I watch everything. Everything. You see that outside when you go say the thing, she do menstruation. Everything. See that bomber where you tell me. See that in our you say the armpit.
That's good. You see,
you're doing well. Now wait.
Yeah. Perfect. You got it perfect. I will surprise you. Because you have done well, more than well. Let me look for something for you so that you can smile. Shut up your mouth. Tell me, wait. How much you want to collect before?
No, 2.5.
Oh, you want to collect 2,005? You dey craze.
Oga do not leave me. I don't like this type of.
How much you want to collect?
2,005 now you talk.
You just see him now chingom, you go buy chingom.
I forget that now. I don't want to. Bye now. Wait. What do you do? Oga do not.
When one is horrible,
You're welcome to the Youth Arena Show. My name is Sanctified Akko.
That inner transformation that Jesus brought into your life must be worked out for another person to see on the outside.
When they see the light, they will come to the light.
Come to the light.
If you are being loved by the world, you are still of the world.
the bodies of Christ are so witchcraftful to blind the eyes of the bodies of Christ. So how do we deal with rebellion? You don't give space for rebellion because it's a seed.
And Savior shall rise upon Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Edom, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's, and you are that Savior.
When one is horrible, it means that there is nothing that is objectively good and progressive that will come out of such individual.
if you have been convicted of an offense before and you have been pardoned, and anybody is trying to bring that up against you and calling you a convict, you have the power to sue that person for defamation.
Justice must not only be done, but it must be seen by all to have been manifestly done.
Every citizen has a right and every citizen has an obligation.
That a plea of ultra-virus acquit or convict is very different from the plea of pardon.
Trespass is that act that interferes with the peaceful,
no matter how minute,
this right? No matter how minute.
He who comes to equity must come with clean hands.